It was a countrywide campaign offering lifts. The sister, I believe, is a pharmacist, and she's a massive vaccine promoter. Was at the time. They pretend, oh, sorry, we made a mistake. No, it's your job to know. It's your job to listen to people who are telling you this vaccine's dangerous and all vaccines are dangerous. But he didn't listen. And instead he went out demanding vaccines for sick children. Here he is promoting it. They're running Gimmigrant candidates. They're running them. And I think I have a little clip of it here. Hold on now. Let me see. I know a few of you sent me the McGregor thing. I can't even play it. It's so awful. But it is very interesting that the criminal solicitor, Kieran Mulholland, from West Belfast, IRA MI5, another commie, is who's Midel Campbell's solicitor, as it happens, he's now McGregor's, no less. McGregor's. Now, I can prove to you that I've said it for a long time, but something happened in the Court of Appeal yesterday that made me realise those courts are now owned by Jewish banks. Well, the Jews own all the banks in the world. And Jewish banks are running this country, but they are absolutely running the courts of Ireland. And they're running Leinster House. The country was sold to the IMF in 2008. The IMF is a synonym for the Jewish industrial banking complex. And they've had a long legacy of hatred towards us because of our Catholic roots, etc. And that is why they brought Ireland down as effectively as they've done. Of candidates who weren't born in Ireland. Many of them are here maybe a couple of decades and invested great effort in building their communities. And I've had to sit down and explain to them, listen, you're going to get an awful lot of abuse just for the colour of your skin. What a little traitor. And the fact that you're standing in this election, it's just even one individual who's been living in the country for 30 years, but just has a name that's not a typically Irish name, has been accused of being a foreigner, for example. There has to be. Yeah. Well, if he has, how long has he been here? Just even one individual who's been living in the country for 30 years. 30 years? But just has a name that's not a typically Irish name. Not a typically Irish name. He's been living here for 30 years and he doesn't have a typically Irish name. So we will take it he's not Irish because he's been living here for 30 years, but you didn't say he's born and bred here. Has been accused of being a foreigner, for example. Yeah, well, he is a foreigner, Father. If he wasn't born, if he's not of Irish blood, he's a foreigner. And we know what the problem is. And all this fuel nonsense, this is not the problem. People are struggling, yes. The hauliers obviously feel it more. People who drive for a living, people who use large quantities of fuel like farmers, yes. The average punter, look, if you were to compare the problems that immigration are causing compared to the increase in fuel, it is the pressure that immigration is putting on the economy that is the cause of it's the main cause of all the problems. So how come they're out protesting about fuel? Because they're not really what you think they are. They want everyone to think now, the reason the people are angry is because of the price of petrol. It's not. And that's another reason why these protests are phony. People are fuming that we are becoming a minority in our own country, and the migrants are putting so much pressure on our housing stock,
all these disgusting blocks going up everywhere, tower blocks going up everywhere, and to house these invaders. And it's changing everything about our country. And that's what people are annoyed about. They can take the extra hit when they go to the pump. It's terrible, it's abusive, etc. But it's not life-changing the way that living in a country where you're home, where you suddenly feel this is not my home. My home has been taken from me. My home. We all have it in us as Irish people that this is our land and that we are a tribe, and whether we are, have completely different mindsets, at least we have a shared heritage and a common bloodline and a common history, past, whatever. And that should be preserved to the utmost, and it has been absolutely shattered by all of these criminals. So this is not about fuel, and they again spun it in that direction too, because they know people are at boiling point over the immigration problems, and so they spun it into a fuel protest. So that's him basically defending immigrants over native people.
We've had a number of candidates who weren't born in Ireland. Many of them are here maybe a couple of decades and invested great effort in building their communities. And I've had to sit down.
Building their communities? What is he talking about? What communities? Because he's a commie. So he's thinking in terms of communities. They're building their communities, yes. They have their enclaves everywhere. They have their Polish supermarkets and their Latvian supermarkets and their Ukrainian supermarkets. And they are taking over every single town and village of Ireland. And he's in favour of it.
And explain to them, listen, you're going to get an awful lot of abuse just for...
So the Irish are racist now because their home has been stolen from them, but they're racist. That's Cather's outlook. Here's your saviour.
It's just for the colour of your skin and the fact that you're standing in this election. It's just even one individual who's been living in the country for 30 years, but just has a name that's not a typically Irish name, has been accused of being a foreigner, for example. There has to be a change.
And every single controlled opposition plant in this country is backing this Pather fella. So again, we've all been vindicated here on this stream. And why is he running people like this Fayez Al-Thani in Roscommon? Now, how can anyone who has one brain cell on duty, sorry to quote David Icke, but how can anyone support this moron Pather Tobin?